Saha, Isqueezed Sisiatuk, in Clahap, Intum, Eleanor Squawkin, Isqueezed, Twee Eleanor Squawkin, Isqueezed, Nath, Robert Whitney. And hello, good day. My name is Wendy. My friends call me Winnie. You can call me Winnie too. My parents and grandparents come from the Similkameen, and as well as Penticton and Pimpkin. And today we're here at Ginty's Pond, and we're going to be harvesting some cattails and some tulies, hopefully. We've been watching the land, and the bioindicators are telling us that these plants are ready to harvest for basket making. But one of the reasons we wait till about now to come out and harvest is, first of all, the plants have grown up enough. They haven't gone to the stage where they're beginning to produce the little hot dog thing, the seed head.
Oh yeah.
They haven't gotten to that stage. If they were beginning to do it though, and I see the odd one here and there, when they're green, that's edible too.
Oh.
Yeah, cook it just like corn, just like corn. But we come out here because they're so busy getting ready to produce those things. They're making themselves super strong, and that's going to help us. I actually prefer to work with cattail. I like both, but I prefer to work with cattail. It's amazingly strong. I wasn't wearing it today, but I made a little pouch for my cell phone last winter, and I split several of the cattails to make it. So I made them quite narrow just to see how strong is it, how long will it last. And I made cordage out of the wings on the cattail leaves, the whole works. And it just last week started getting weak on one side.
Oh wow.
But I got hung up on something and pulled away, so I actually pulled on it really hard. On accident, but I pulled nonetheless. So anyway, at least a hand's width above the water line. The reason for that is it's going to, for the rest of the summer, it's going to go down, down, down. And in that time, this will recover. If for any reason it doesn't, it actually grows. It grows on a long rhizome, so it has this long root that kind of goes into the ground and then makes an L, and lots of shoots off of it. If you were harvesting that, you could eat it, peel it and eat it.
Oh.
Or people also, and this is another thing I want to try, would pound that into a flour and leach it in water to make all the flour settle out, evaporate the water, and that was one of our flours used to thicken our foods, make our soups and our stews.
Wow.
Even fry bread. So you'll see cattails in particular, they have layers and layers of leaves. The outer layers have wings on them. This is the part of the plant that I use to make cordage.
Cordage?
Yeah. Just like we use our spitzen to make our cord and our rope,
okay.
You can do the same thing with this part of the cattail. So these, I can't use green, but when I get home, I'll separate them. Wherever there are any wings, if I can peel it, it's practically translucent in some cases.
Oh yeah.
I'll peel it and set that aside, let it dry. And the rest of the stalk can be used. If I want to make the strongest baskets though, I'm working with the inner stalks.
Oh, okay.
So
that's more of the newer stuff, right?
It's for some reason, the cell structure itself is different. So this green that you see will be deeper and further down the stalk.
Oh, okay.
Where the outside leaves, they were first to come along. I won't waste them, for sure, I'll use them. One of the other things a lot of people don't know, this is an antiseptic. Do you see the shiny juice that comes from the plant? That's got antibiotic, antiseptic properties.
Wow.
And there's only so much of the leaves that'll give that off. But when I get home, it's easier if I do it there because they're tightly bound now.
Yep.
And then I'll just set them down, make a good pile, and then come back and bring them up and then bundle them.
About a hand width about there.
If you should see
Water
any
snake.
critters, frogs, salamanders, anything like that, it's good to know because these are the kind of animals that we're protecting and we're looking out for. There's too many of them going. They're going away from us, and if we don't say where we find these things when we're on the land, we can't protect them. When I get them home, I'll separate the leaves out and lay them out. I have drying racks, and I'll lay them out so that they can dry a bit. Once they've dried for a few days, I can bundle them up. Because I'll bundle them to take them home, but I'll bundle them up again, stand them up, and put them in a hopefully a dark place, which is this. I have a sea can at home. I also have a tool shed if it's fairly dark to get them out of the immediate sun. I want them to retain the green color as long as possible. And when we get home, I'll show you the difference between some that were out and some that were in. There's a big difference, you'll see it. If there's a message that I want anyone to hear about this harvesting and these practices, it's that these places are the places that clean our water. And without water, none of us can live. No organism on this earth can be alive in any way, shape, or form. And so we have to take care of these places. All these wetlands, they're the places disappearing the fastest across the earth, the entire earth. So it's not just about basket making, it's about looking after it. And by us coming in and taking some of these plants, we're opening up some of the water, allowing a little bit more of a flow, allowing the animals to get in easier. Otherwise it gets so thick, chokes everything out and nothing grows. From what my teachers have shared with me, you're always doing it before you're getting those little hot dog things, the actual flower. Partly because the leaf itself has, the structure is it's more like insulated properties. If you were to feel and pinch that, you'd feel it kind of cave in a bit. There's fibers in there that are just like insulation. And it's amazing. The plant cell structure is long and skinny, and it links together just like a tree, and it's incredibly strong. So when you look at a tule on the inside, this looks just like the styrofoam insulation that we use to pack things and so on. And this is why this plant's really important for our people. We used to use this for our homes. We could make furniture out of it, chairs to sit on, mattresses. You feel how puffy it is, and it stays puffy like that even after it's been dried and reconstituted again. And that's the insulating properties of that plant. When we would make our tule mat houses, we made them anyway, but I think once we were curtailed to reservation lands and couldn't leave, you couldn't travel to see relatives down in Montana to go get bison and bison hides. Our people had bison hides and they traded for them. And we traded our salmon, we traded our hussam. We made fantastic rope and other things that we traded. Our ochre was considered one of the most valuable resources there is. And even the fur traders remarked on how a small little round ball of our precious ochre would be traded for a stack of stack high of furs, the same value that they would give a gun in the old days, because that was so valuable. So we'd use those things. We didn't always have to make tule mat lodges, but Creator always provides, and Creator gave us tules to help keep the people warm, give them shelter. So
Is tule mean ochre in our language?
it's an anglicized version of zootmean, which is tulamine. That's the red ochre, and that's what it means, is that red paint. While there are stripes of the red ochre going through the bluffs, there's also white, black, orange, brown. So you've got all 4 colors of the medicine wheel, but you've also got other shades. I was blessed one year, probably 15 years ago, maybe more, 20, to be given a chance to paint a canvas teepee lodge with ochre. It took me 2 weeks, but I painted it, and they had it up in Headley. They had it on display in front of the Mascot Gold Mine tours when it was running. And I put specific designs on there for a reason, and using all the different shades of ochre, and I was able to accomplish shading on the horses, the shape of their bodies, and fading in and fading, making it darker, lighter. It was amazing to work with. And I've never had a chance to do it again, but I have worked on some materials at home, made some kerchiefs and a few bags. I even used it for my sister when she's preparing food for ceremony. I said, here's an apron for you to wear, because it's medicine, right?
Yeah.
And it's for our healing and for our protection. And people that prepare food for ceremony are blessed 10 times over just for what they're providing, right? So, yeah. Anyway, that's about the zootmean and the tuktan.
Tuktan. I like that.
When I first started making baskets with these, I was just flattening them out. So they get dry, you reconstitute, and then you flatten them out like that. You can run it over a stick or something to do that. And then I started talking with Herman Edward, and Herman and I discussed how twisting them might actually make it stronger. And so that one basket I shared with you earlier, that was all twisted, every piece there, except for the spokes or the base pieces that I wove around. But because this area has been hammered so hard by different pollutants and things coming down the valley, these baskets that I make from these, or other implements that might be used, I won't use to serve any food or to have food stored in it.
That's because of the pollutants, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, our skin soaks up pollutants. It soaks up lotion when we rub it on. It soaks up anything we put on our skin.
Yeah.
You soak in an Epsom's bath, you're going to soak up those minerals.
Yeah.
So it's only makes sense that these other things are going to soak it up too, and they could, in the uptake of the plant taking those things on while they're cleaning the water, it could be something that would be harmful for us later. So I don't want to take that chance, not knowing for sure. And I can tell you there's not a lot of scientific study around the uptake of pollutants on native species and significant plants for native. When we get home, I'll show you the difference. But before we go, let's see, where there's seeds, we want to give those back. because I wanted the beauty of the stitch itself to show through.
Yeah.
I wanted the different weaves and the pattern changes to show through. But this actually has meaning for me. These are called earth lines when you see those straight lines like that. And for me, especially because I live here and look at Crater all the time where all the snow accumulates, that's the snow on the mountain tops, and as it comes down the mountains, it becomes the lifeblood of the valley. And that's the meaning of that to me, and that's why I incorporated that. I figured I would use it as a harvesting basket, so you can see the different types of birch are paper birch and water birch.
This one water birch?
These are actually both paper birch. The difference is the way it was peeled, because the birch has several layers. In this case, I was able to get those layers because the person had a tree threatening a power line. They had to take it down, and it happened to be at the right time of the year. And I said, hey, well, since you booked that up for firewood, can I peel the bark? And they said yes, so I did. I was able, you see how thick this is.
This one's
that's like leather.
Too?
That's the same tree, but it hasn't been split.
Wow.
It's as thick as from
This is
the
your
outside
phone?
into.
For your phone?
It is, yeah. I just didn't put a strap on it. The one I was using is hanging up over there. I'll grab that in a moment.
Yeah.
But just experimenting with these different materials that we use. This is just tulle, and then I used a little bit of white. It's called butcher's cord. It's
Butcher's cord?
They use it to wrap your meat.
Oh, okay.
It didn't have meat on it, but I had it in my cupboard, and I was like, let me try that.
That's cool. I don't know what to do.
This reminds me of a cedar root basket, but it's not. It's simply split. I want to say this was the cattail.
What was this one again?
This was a combination of cattail and juncus grass. Juncus grass is like a tulle, but very small. This used to grow all over the place here, and now there's only found in a few places.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even harvest that here. Had to go down into another area completely. I was in the States.
Wow.
To harvest that. There's the only place I've ever seen it growing in any quantity, and it's even there, it's not a lot, is on the place they call Sickle Point. So when I worked for PIB, I had the pleasure of going down there and doing restoration work. More paper birch and cedar root. Pine needle. Everybody loves pine needle.
That's what this one is too, right?
It's just a smaller version, so big, medium, small.
How'd you get the blue?
I dyed them. So I have a beautiful tree out here that grows really long needles, and longer than most. And I think that's why Creator had me plant here, put my camp here.
This is a cool stitch pattern.
And anyway, I wait till they fall in the ground, rake them up. You can tell if they're this year's needles because they're not really deep rust colored. They're nice, kind of tan colored. Pick them up, pull the caps off of them, and then put them in a pot. Wash them off first. Put them in a pot. Then put them in with some dye. I've tried natural dyes. It takes a lot longer to use natural dyes, but it does work. Like our Oregon grapefruit makes a beautiful golden yellow.
Wow.
There's a few other types of plant and roots that grow that also make other colors. And I haven't tried any of our earth paints. And then I've also used synthetic dyes like Rit dye. This is water birch, this is paper birch.
What's the difference?
The water birch, number one, is more rare.
Yeah.
So I don't actually, this was one of the first birch baskets I ever made, but I don't actually go out and look for a stand. Child said that there are very few healthy stands of water birch left, so I don't bother it. This came from a tree that had fallen over, and so I went and asked the tree for its bark. It was the wrong time of the year. It wasn't easy to do. It was hard to peel. It was nothing that was the way we would do it normally, was the way it should have been, but I couldn't see it going to waste on a beautiful tree like that. And so the water birch is, if you feel it, it's super hard, it's stiff, it's thick. It's got this beautiful red color though. And then inside, it's my olive plant. It looks different even. The outer bark has that kind of a golden rust color.
Yeah.
Where paper birch is usually a white color.
This hat's made out of tule, right?
That is it's mostly tule with a few strands of cattail. I was trying to, I have no elders left. I have one auntie that's still alive. And I don't have any teachers, so some of the stuff I've had to figure out on my own or remember from what my mom told me with the birch harvesting. I asked her, Mom, did you ever harvest before the birch? Have you ever done these things? And she said, no, but I watched her grandma do it. And I was like, my grandma, which is really her grandma, it would be my great grandma, Matilda. And she told me how she did it. And based on what she told me, I went out and was able to harvest without harming the tree. That's how well she related it to me. And that comes from the language, how it's passed down. It doesn't get changed. It stays true to the meaning. So, and my mom, she's in this picture with us, me and my sisters. She taught me everything I know pretty much. My Auntie Irene is the one that introduced me to the basket weaving. But even my mom, she, everything she could recall, she would share. And even if she didn't do it herself, she said, I didn't do it, but your grandma did. And I saw what she did. This is when she did it. This is how she did it. This is what she did. And always it came with that prayer. Always it came with that offering. And my mom was a residential school survivor. She had a horrific experience. And she chose to raise us away from this place. In some ways that's divided us from the community. In other ways we've been embraced by other community. So some of these baskets have been around for a while. This one I gathered, and there's medicines in here all through this basket. I went up on Tuskegee, that mountain behind us, when we were out there collecting today. And so within there's all those branches are incorporated into it. We were talking about the National Park Reserve at the time, and Tuskegee is a big part of that area. And it's an important area for our people, an important place for gathering, medicines, you name it. So we went up there and looked for them, looked to see what's still there, what's still viable, where can we, help it, encourage it. This is the little phone basket.
Wow.
So you feel that. I've been beating that thing up, and I finally got it loose because I got hung up on a chair, and you know how something sticks in, and I walked away and it stayed. So that's why it got weak there, because I really gave it a good
tug.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But I mean, people go, wow, that's kind of cool. I go, feel it. It is strong.
Yeah.
It's just insanely strong.
That's pretty. That's cool.
Yeah.
Can we see the dried up ones compared to the...
Yes, they're out on the front deck.
Okay.
You can see how lovely they are, how unblemished they are. So those would be the ones that I really want to do something extra special and pretty with. The others I'll use for my plant baskets or whatnot. On Mother's Day, I worked really hard to get 5 baskets made so I could give one each to my sisters and my mother.
And this one is the tule, right?
This is the tule, yes.
What do you say in the language again?
Tuktan.
Tuktan.
Tuktan. Sometimes there's cattail mixed in, but not this time. Because like I said, when I'm weaving, I don't know what it is, but it gives me time to reflect, to meditate, to pray. And people come into my mind or my heart, and I think about them, and I know that basket is for that person. I know that's where it belongs. So.